Okay, so here's something wild. Artificial intelligence is advancing so fast that it's now capable of writing essays, solving complex math problems, and even tutoring students on demand. But here's the catch. Our education system hasn't fundamentally changed in decades.
That's such a stark contrast, isn't it? On one hand, you've got this cutting edge technology evolving at lightning speed, and on the other, classrooms that are still relying on methods and materials that were designed a generation ago. It's like watching a race where one runner is sprinting and the other is walking.
Exactly. And that's what people are calling the scissors effect. It's this growing gap between the rapid rise of AI and the slow pace of institutional change, especially in education. The question we're tackling today is whether AI is making us smarter or if it's just exposing how outdated and underprepared our systems really are.
That's such an important question because it's not just about technology, it's about how we, as a society, adapt or fail to adapt to the tools we create. So, where do we even start with something this big?
At its core, the scissors effect illustrates a widening crisis between technology and academia. Picture a pair of scissors opening up. The upper blade represents AI capabilities, generating code, writing essays, and personalizing instruction, and it is shooting upward at an exponential curve. The lower blade represents traditional education, static textbooks, legacy assignments, and rigid grading rubrics, and it is grinding in the opposite direction, steadily losing relevance. As these two trajectories diverge, the gap widens into a critical void where conventional learning fails to keep pace with reality.
And the gap between those two blades, that's where students, teachers, and even employers are getting caught. What's striking is that this isn't a new problem. AI didn't create this gap, it just made it impossible to ignore.
Right. Long before AI became mainstream, we already had warning signs. Test scores were stagnating, chronic absenteeism was rising, and the pandemic only made things worse with learning losses that we still haven't fully recovered from. AI didn't cause these problems, it just arrived on top of them.
So let's talk about grades because that's one of the first places you can see this gap in action. Who's really responsible for the grade decline we're seeing?
Honestly, it's a mix of factors. Grades are slipping, or worse, they're being artificially propped up. And it's not because kids suddenly got lazier or less capable overnight. Some of this sits squarely with the system itself.
That's such a key point. Grade inflation has been documented for years. Average GPAs are climbing, but standardized measures of actual mastery, like SAT scores or state exams, are staying flat or even declining. That's not a sign of progress. That's a system quietly lowering the bar to make the numbers look better.
And it's not just about grades, it's about the conditions surrounding them. Schools are underfunded, classrooms are overcrowded, and teachers are leaving the profession faster than they can be replaced. You can't expect great outcomes when the people delivering the curriculum are stretched so thin.
And then there's the issue of incentives. Standardized testing rewards teaching to the test instead of teaching for understanding. Administrators are under pressure to show improvement on paper rather than in substance. And the curricula, they haven't been meaningfully updated to reflect how students actually learn today.
And let's not forget the societal factors. Phones and social media are engineered to fragment attention. A teenager today is fighting for focus against products designed by some of the smartest engineers in the world, products that are literally built to be addictive.
And a lot of schools' responses have been to ban the symptom, take the phone away during class without addressing the deeper problem. We've built a culture of instant gratification, and now we've handed kids a tool, AI, that lets them get instant answers instead of doing the work.
So when a student uses AI to shortcut an assignment, that's a real problem, but it's happening inside a system that was already struggling to hold their attention, already inflating grades, and already under-resourced to catch it.
And it's not just a school problem, it's also a household and community problem. Engagement at home, access to stable routines, food security, adult support after the school day ends, all of that shapes whether a kid shows up ready to learn. Blaming the classroom alone lets everyone else off the hook. And
So that brings us to the big question. Is AI helping or hurting?
most people fall into one of two extremes. On one side, you've got people saying AI is cheating, full stop. On the other, you've got people saying use it for everything. The reality is somewhere in the middle, but the system hasn't given teachers the tools or training to find that middle ground.
Exactly. AI is like a calculator in theory. Calculators sped up Computation without replacing mathematical reasoning, because schools built new teaching methods around them. We haven't done that work yet for AI. Most teachers are improvising policy classroom by classroom because there's no coherent guidance coming from above.
And AI is far more powerful than a calculator ever was. It writes, it researches, it explains, and it sounds confident even when it's wrong. Without training on how to evaluate AI output critically, students don't stand a chance against that confidence.
And that's one of the dangers educators are raising. Students are becoming consumers of answers instead of creators of ideas. Learning isn't just arriving at the correct answer, it's the struggle with a hard question. That's where understanding actually forms.
And we've all seen it. Summarize the chapter, answer the discussion questions, draft the outline, and somewhere in there, the student never actually read the material. If the assignment itself can be fully outsourced, that's as much a design failure as a discipline failure.
Convenience isn't learning. But we also have to ask why so many assignments are still built in a format that's trivially outsourceable in the first place. That's on the system to fix, not just on the student to resist.
And it's not just about education. Employers are feeling this too. They're not looking for people who never use AI. They're looking for people who use it well.
The future belongs to people who combine human judgment with AI capability. Employers still need people who can solve problems, communicate clearly, lead teams, make ethical decisions, think creatively, and adapt when technology changes. AI can't replace those qualities, but if schools aren't deliberately building them, students won't develop them by accident.
So what does education look like 5 or 10 years from now? I don't think homework disappears. I think the whole model has to.
It does. Instead of asking students to simply produce information, schools need to ask students to defend their thinking, oral defenses, live problem-solving, collaborative work, showing reasoning instead of only submitting a final product. That's a structural change, not a tweak, and it requires investment most districts haven't been given.
And that's the honest bottom line. You can't ask an underfunded, understaffed system to redesign itself on goodwill alone. If we want different outcomes, the resources and the incentives both have to change, not just the classroom rhetoric.
One thing AI has taught me is that asking better questions matters almost as much as knowing answers.
That's a real shift. Prompting AI well requires clarity, critical thinking, context, evaluation. Those are valuable skills, but almost nobody is teaching them explicitly, which means the students who figure it out are the ones with the most support at home, not the ones the system reached.
There's another issue: access isn't equal. Some schools encourage AI, others ban it outright. Some students have premium subscriptions and fast home internet. Others don't have reliable access at all.
Which turns a technology gap into an achievement gap. If AI fluency becomes part of future success, equal opportunity means equal access and equal instruction in responsible use. Otherwise, the system doesn't just fail to close the gap, it actively widens it, and it does so along the same lines of inequality it already had.
People sometimes ask if AI will eventually replace people entirely. I don't think that's the right question.
Neither do I. The better question is what remains uniquely human: empathy, curiosity, leadership, integrity, wisdom, purpose. Technology can assist those qualities, it cannot replace them, but it also can't build them for us. That's still the job of a functioning education system and an engaged community, and right now both are falling short.
AI isn't going away, so the goal shouldn't be resisting it. The goal should be fixing the system fast enough that students are learning to think better because of it, not less.